about y'all ready?
It is. Would you like to see it? We'll just lay it on the chair.
The addiction tree.
I see what it is.
Yeah. Okay, welcome to Faces of Addiction and Recovery panel discussion. This program is presented during Prescription Opioid and Heroin Epidemic Awareness Week, which is September 17th through September 23rd, and September is also Recovery Awareness Month. The library panel that we had about substance abuse in Putnam County in January 31st, we have a lot of things have happened since then. We have formed a committee, and the committee is called Putnam County Substance Abuse Committee, and we have a mission. The mission is the Putnam County Substance Abuse Committee is committed in building resources, organizing a system of support, raising awareness, providing education and prevention tools to those individuals and their families that struggle with addiction. The committee believes that substance use is a primary psychological illness, progressive in nature, and can be life-threatening if left untreated. Our panel members that are going to answer questions here shortly. We have Sheriff Stockton, Sheriff of Putnam County, on the end down there. We have Chief Sutherland, Chief of Police. Daniel Cummings, she's a former MA LMFTA clinical therapist at Hamilton Center. Aaron Flick.
Those are just acronyms I made up.
Aaron Flick, substance abuse counselor at Cummins. Debbie Hanks-Watchell, she's a grateful to be sober and clean for 23 years. Angelique Cohen, she is a substance abuse survivor of over 3 years. Rick Deere, someone who has experienced the peace that recovery can bring to a person and wants to share it with the whole county. Stephen Bridges, he just celebrated 1 year of sobriety on August 15th. And Brandon Drake, co-director at Courage to Change, sober living intervention specialist, sober coach, founder, CEO, and treatment consultant at Keystone Interventions Group and Treatment Consulting, and he's from Bloomington. So we're going to start off with each of them telling a little bit about themselves, and we'll start with Stockton.
I'm the Putnam County Sheriff. I was with the Scott Stockton. I was with the state police for 28 years. During that time, predominantly worked investigations. I was on 3 federal task forces, the DEA, the ATF, and finished with the FBI. I ran the drug unit for the state police for some time. I always wanted to be the sheriff. This is my first term, just recently re-elected, so I'll enter my second term after that. I don't know what I'm going to do, but when this event started, I was intrigued to get involved because in my 32 years of law enforcement, I've seen a lot of detriment brought as a result of drug abuse, including alcohol and other drugs, how it disassembles a family, the structure. So I believe in this program, I believe in this mission. I appreciate all the people on the panel and here out in the audience who are committed to the community. I just wish that, and we'll get down the line and you'll hear this over and over, and you've heard this before, I wish that we had more resources, more facilities, more counseling, more treatment, more opportunity for people without resources to have those resources. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Tom Sutherland, Chief of Police, Greencastle Police Department. I just finished 28 years with the City of Greencastle. I've been chief since 2004, and as I've enforced the laws here around the City of Greencastle for 28 years, I see the drug problem that was in 1990 and continues in 2018, and it's not got any better, it seems like, in between. So myself and the Assistant Chief Brian Hopkins, who's also in the audience when Sheila approached us about joining this panel, I thought it was a great idea for us to get involved because we see people at the lowest. We see people when they are addicted to drugs and the crimes that they're committing and being in possession of the drugs, and we see them at the lowest. And as police officers, we have one thing to do, and that's taking the we don't have the sources at hand to get them the help unless they plead to us, don't take me to jail, get me to help, and then we can make some phone calls and do that. So we see the big problem and the other issues that drug addiction causes in our own community. So we thought it was a great idea for us to get involved in this program because hopefully we can learn where those resources are and get these people's help when they need it at the worst part of their life.
Thank you. Danielle?
Hi, I'm Danielle Cummings. I worked at Hamilton Center for 2.5 years, and I was a facilitator of the Matrix group, which was a drug and alcohol substance abuse recovery group. And I did that, and we built a good relationship with probation in the jail to provide services in the beginning. I saw a lot of great things that recovery group can provide for people in the community. I saw a lot of wonderful things when it came to, when we provide services for families. There's a lot of families that I saw that were part of DCS. So I was working with kids that had parents that were either in jail or in treatment because they had been in jail for substance abuse, for possession. And so I saw what that did to families and how it was really affecting kids and affecting their self-worth, their identities, their, just having a safe place to be. A lot of times when we talk about substance abuse, it's not just parents using substances, it's a whole lot of stuff. There is, all kinds of things that kids are seeing and neglected. There are kids that are being abused because different men and women come in and out of the houses. And because of that, it really affects the whole family, it affects our communities. And so for that, I have a passion for, bringing awareness to our community, not, taking away the stigma. People, addiction affects all kinds of people from every socioeconomic status, every background, and that recovery is possible. And we as a community really can change the tide. We can make a difference. Like Chief Sutherland said, from 1990 until now, there hasn't been a major change, and I want to be the person that says, we can be that change. We can make a difference. And I really believe that. I think that this is our time.
Thank you, Danielle. Erin?
It's hard to go after Danielle. I love your words. Thank you and your passion. So my name is Erin, and I am the substance use disorder specialist at Cummins. I've been a therapist in the addictions field over 15 years. I'm also an adult child of an alcoholic. And so as little as I can remember, I was in the rooms of AA and NA, Alateen. So it was kind of my family growing up as well as my biological family. So I'm really passionate about helping individuals and families in recovery and reunification. I was a inpatient therapist at Fairbanks in Indianapolis for 14 years. And Indianapolis has so many resources, and you turn around and somebody's kind of willing to help. And so things you do for love, I came out this way, and I've been in the Putnam community for about almost 2 years, hoping to be a part of the solution out here. So thank you.
Thanks, Erin.
Sarah.
Debbie?
I'm Debbie Walker, and I'm a lifelong resident of Putnam County. I'm also a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and Al-Anon. And my sobriety date's April 8th, 1995. And I am a parent of a loved one. I started in the Putnam County Jail back in 1996, taking the program in there and meeting women there. And today we have more help. We've got like 3 women that goes in, so we rotate now. So that makes it really nice. I'm also a grandmother of 2 wonderful children that I've adopted due to addiction. It was first I got guardianship of them. 3 years later, I had to adopt them. And I don't say I had to. It was all out of love, and I'm very grateful they're there and in my lives today. They bring so much joy. I believe in this mission with all my heart, and I, like each one of the other ones said here, it's not going to take one person, it's going to take we as a community. So thanks for listening to me.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Debbie.
Hi, I'm Angeline Cohen, and I'm a grateful just person in recovery. And Sheila asked me if I wanted to join the committee at about the beginning of this year, and I was just looking for a place that I could serve and that I could, try to help people get better with this, and we kind of are just trying to figure out where to start because it does seem like such an epidemic right now. But I know it is going to take us coming together and setting some goals and really just hammering that out because, we're fighting a tough battle. And I've been there, I've been on the other side of things, and I know it's so crucial. There's a crucial moment, like when someone shows the desire to get help and get clean, they really need somebody to just meet them right there where they're at and just support them with everything they have. Because there's only that glimpse before you're in a fog again, and there's not as much hope. But I am here to say that there is hope, and I want to see our community come together and beat this thing. Take a bite out of it. And that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Hey, Rick.
Yep, I'm Rick Deere. All the acronyms and stuff, the only thing I can say as far as the acronyms, I know Tom Sutherland personally. I'm retired. He was going to cite my dog one time. I'm a retired lineman from Indianapolis Car and Light. Okay, I'm a type A person. I do everything at 150%, and the dysfunctions in my life, I did those at 150%. Until the time came, I got clean. Pretty cool, and today I can say I like me a lot. Okay, shame and guilt and fear and all that garbage that the people that we want to help deal with. Okay, I know I don't have that, and that is cool. And so the realization from that came to me that if it's just cool for me, I want it for all the people of Putnam County. Okay, I've been kind of on a mission to study how people do it. Cause, wow, how do we help people that don't really want help? How can we be there for the people that really do want to be helped? And it's been a really cool trip the past 3 years on this, and that's why I'm here. And I'm sitting next to cool people. That's it.
Hey, Stephen.
My name's Stephen Bridges. I celebrated a year of sobriety on August 15th. Kind of a big deal for me. I actually used to be one of those people Chief Sutherland's talking about, that you have to corral and then the beg and the plea and whatever. I never really wanted it then. I was trying to get out of trouble. But now I'm on the other side of it. My brother's Superior Court judge, so I'm in the dark side, and I've been on the other side, and now I'm on this side, and I enjoy my life, and I enjoy myself, and I feel like having those personal ties with people from the streets, and on this side of it, I have a good aspect of helping them where others probably won't be able to talk to or know what to say when I feel like I do. So I'm also still in recovery with groups, and I feel like any of the stigma with Suboxone or treatment and all that, that's kind of my area. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon?
I'm Brandon Drake. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana, as she introduced me earlier. I'm a drug and alcohol interventionist. I consider myself a community organizer because around Monroe County, Lawrence County, Morgan County, Jennings County, Brown County, like I go into communities, I try to help them organize what resources they do have, what resources are outside those counties, and try to help them figure out how to mobilize some of those resources. That ranges from anything to helping them set up halfway houses to connecting them with things that they may not know about that's out there. I currently run a helpline that I started this year. It's called Pathways. It's just a helpline for people to call if they need help. Families, for anybody, whether they have insurance or not. Because as an interventionist, I came back 5 years ago to Indiana, 4 or 5 years ago, and I was shocked at the lack of treatment options. You can't do interventions and be an interventionist if you don't have a place to put people after you do the intervention. Because anybody who's ever dealt with drug addiction knows you got about sometimes a 1 minute window, sometimes a week, sometimes it could be a month. I mean, you don't know what the window is, and most of the time it's going to be less than a day. And so, like, when you get a commitment on an intervention, you really need to get them in a car and take them somewhere, but there was no place to take them, so that's whenever I started, like, really trying to figure out how to do this on my own, create something that would work for people. That's it. I mean, I've started, she said, I've started halfway houses from $0. North Vernon, I just went down there. Remember a couple years ago when they had like 14 overdoses in an hour and they ran out of Narcan, it was all over national news. We started a program called Jennings County Cares, much like this one, right? You guys are doing. And they now are getting ready, they just launched their first sober house. They've got a women's house on the way, and they're doing things down there now. It's just because they don't know, people don't know how to do these things, but it's not as hard as they look. And so I try to help communities figure out how to piece this stuff together. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. I'm Sheila Holloway. I don't know if I introduced myself, but I'm a mother of addicted child, and I have a sibling that's addicted and other family members. So we're going to start out. I left paper on everybody's chair, I think, and if you have a question, just write it down and hold it up and I'll come and get it. But we're going to start asking questions, and then you guys can ask questions if we don't touch those. Okay? We're going to start with Aaron Flick. Aaron, your first question is, why do you think people get addicted to drugs?
So I'm not sure if Sheila likes to punish me or what. This is a complicated question that requires a complex answer. So I'm trying to keep it as brief as I can. So really it comes down to genetics and one's environment. And then within that, there's a lot of risk and protective factors that you either have or you don't have and you can gain in order to essentially protect yourself or create a barrier between substance use and yourself. So, for example, I'll just use myself as an example. So there's a long lineage of substance use and addiction in my family. And so when my mom and dad decided to start bearing children, my brain is automatically hardwired differently than somebody else's brain that maybe they don't have addiction in their history. So there's kind of how my brain was kind of developed early on. And then, so then you look at the environment, and so as I was growing up, there was always alcohol and other substances